This is the Real Ass Podcast.
When you're gonna get beat up. My friend got his nose broken twice by the same teacher.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. One time he was like,
should have learned the lesson.
He should have learned a lesson. Yeah. He goes, one time he was
He just had to like call him a fag or something. Sorry, it's my compulsion. You're a fag.
But you won't punch me, queer. I gotta say that 5 times before I freak out. You won't punch me,
don't
queer.
believe it. I know it.
I know this is crazy, but I gotta say it.
But that's what's the compulsion where you just swear, where you just talk.
Tourette's
is part of OCD. It's from the same part of the brain. That's so they have like that. So
wait, what happened? He called him a name or something?
No, my buddy was like, he kept falling asleep in class, and the teacher one day, when he was like had his head on his desk and his like, you know, as his arms were folded and his head was his like forehead was on his arms, and the teacher grabbed his head by the hair and went, and it broke his nose.
Oh my god!
And then another time because there's this really nice teacher, another one that was like super nice, and then we would always be bad in the back of the class, and he was like. He goes, you're being a piece of shit, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson would always make you stand out. The good teacher would make, if you were bad, there was a bunch of little schoolhouses, and it's like Saskatchewan in the winter, and you'd have to go outside and stand in the snow. And then he goes, from across the street was the other schoolhouse where the bad teacher was, and he was like, if I fucking see you standing in that fucking snowbank again, I'm gonna come out there and we're gonna fucking go.
What? That's crazy.
And then he goes, and then you're like, oh, and we knew that we're on the last straw, and like I fucking did something to him, and then he got caught because he like hit me, and then Mr. Johnson's like, go on the snowbank, and he was like, oh shit,
And we're just to fight Mr. Titus now.
and then
shit.
and there's a window.
What a dilemma.
And the whole class knew, and we're like, no one's paying attention to the board. We're just looking out the window like, fuck. And all of a sudden, just after a couple of minutes, he's just standing in the snowbank. You just see a door fly open from across the street. And he's like, what the fuck did I tell you? And he's like pulling up his sleeves. He goes, bam. Like, oh my God.
I have no problem with this.
Dude, could you imagine seeing your teacher go out and punch another kid in the face?
It was Saskatchewan is a very backwards place, and it was like 1999. The 80s were still around, like the aura of them. It was the last 2 years.
You're a couple years younger than me, right?
I'm 1 year older than you.
When you're older than me, okay.
Yeah.
So we're basically the same age. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because there was a transition into like the internet age where I think it really was. It wasn't just like Rodney King happened and those cops got caught beating this guy on camera, but we started shifting into a time when information was readily being available.
Yeah.
And we didn't really make that jump yet, but it was happening. But there was this weird period where it was sort of still no man's land, where you would fucking hear about shit, and people were like that weren't from that era, like a person that was from, like your teacher was just like.
He was from the 70s, and he went to that high school in the 70s
and his
when they were
teacher beat him up on that same tundra.
So he didn't care. Like, he was like, we're still in this zone. And we're like, what? Which is the 90s.
God, that's so funny.
We have the internet.
That.
We're like, it was a weird transition. Like 2 years later, they couldn't get away with that stuff. They used to have a class where they would teach, like it was a Catholic school. And they used to have a class and like religious studies. And then there's one like segment where the teacher would be like, now it gets harder and harder to do this segment every year, and each year people are saying things that but here gays are bad, and then you go on this big thing.
Graham, go stand in the snow,
and I remember.